Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time. And I know I say this every single week, but it is very, very important to me, and it should be to you, that you walk away with plenty of nuggets, sales ideas, strategies, product info, things that you can take out in the field and move the needle, make more sales, help more families, in turn, help yourself. It's a win-win-win across the board. So please use that Q&A pane. We have that little question pane that you can expand or minimize, or call in, email in after the presentation today. Jot down a bunch of notes, please. I just want to make sure that by the time we wrap up right before 3 p.m. Eastern, that you remember a lot of these ideas and bullets, again, so you can share with your clients and prospects, and maybe come up with some new marketing pieces because of this presentation. Okay, I promise there's going to be material, strategies in here that you probably have never seen before. In fact, I know you've never seen before, because we're talking about a new IUL product as well today that's new to the market. So again, please jot down info. What we're also going to talk about is a infinite banking strategy. So I know you've heard about this before, but what I love about today's presentation and Mutual Trust Life is you don't have to go through 7 layers and IMOs and GAs where everybody's taking a percentage of your commission. Okay, it's you and us and the carrier. Okay, in a sense, a direct contract to Mutual Trust Life. Okay, meaning you walk away with the bulk of the compensation and renewals. Okay, so nobody's taking a piece off. So you're going to love this concept, and I guarantee you, if you dig deep in your database, you have a guy or girl, okay, that's interested, or a family, okay? By the way, if we can mute the lines, that would be great. I'm going to run for about 7 minutes here. What I want to talk about is some of the new changes, updates here at Levinson, and then as soon as I wrap up, I'm going to introduce, we have Mark Creighton, our regional VP from Mutual Trust Life, who's going to talk about the latest and greatest with MTL in 2025. Definitely a carrier you want to have in your toolbox. Okay, I promise you that. And here's what's so great. You know, when we're talking about the typical brokerage carriers, okay, who we all know and love, right? The big, Corebridge and AIG and Pac Life and Protective, most of your competing agents have those contracts and products. But when you hear the story with MTL, and you hear about some of these niche products and strategies, right, you're going to have a leg up versus your competitors, because most of them, number one, they don't have access for the most part. Okay, some do, but for the most part, they don't. Number two, you're going to come up with solutions that other agents will scratch their head and say, oh my gosh, I didn't think of that, or I don't have access to that. So you got to pay attention. And then again, being that Levinson is a direct IMO, compensation second to none, renewals are a full pass through. So you're going to love the contract. All right, let's jump right in. What I want to talk about real fast is the Levinson timeline. We have some new additions to the platform that I think you're going to love. In fact, I know you're going to love to hear about. Also, what we're going to do at the end of today's presentation is a giveaway. So I have an Apple iWatch and an IUL prospecting book. Whoever pays attention, you got to be on the full hour, okay? And you got to answer my webinar question of the day first and correctly. I'll announce your name, and then you walk away a winner as long as you're an active Levinson agent, meaning you have at least one carrier appointment. So yes, Apple iWatch and IUL prospecting book. Okay, most agents use these books to give out to prospects. It basically tees up the IUL appointment and then sale. Okay, it works great. The timeline. So real quick, 1972, Carrie started the company. Most of you know this, but a few things I want to touch on briefly. So let's fast forward. We'll go around the loops here, and we'll go to 2018, the Bill Levinson Experience podcast launch, first one in the industry with live episodes every month. So Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, he's known as the social media guru. In fact, today he's got thousands and thousands of employees all over the world. Okay, so global. And he built this company from scratch. just what I love about the concept is he's the one that convinced me to create this podcast for insurance agents. So we did, and we're going to have a upcoming episode based on this infinite banking concept and strategy. So that's going to come up in the next month or two. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I just want to make sure that you all know enough to be dangerous. Let's keep moving throughout the timeline. The 2025 currently just recognized as a top 10 IMO within magazine. So very proud of that. Over 24,000 agents today in the life and annuity space in just about every city in the U.S. Insure Me Now Direct. Okay, so bigger and better than ever. Reason why? We just had the total face amount increase to $4 million on an instant decision direct to consumer platform. That's a huge deal. 60% of those prospects that apply are getting approved instant decision. Okay, and they do this in less than 12 minutes with or without your involvement, but either way, you're still getting paid full commission selling the number one term product in the industry. So it's a win-win, and it's convertible, yes, and there's no extra fat built in for the convenience factor. So make sure you talk to JC and you are set up on the platform and start marketing this today. And like I said, you can do this with your smartphone, iPad, or just send someone to your website and link, and they're off to the races, and you're literally selling while you're sleeping. Okay, let's keep moving. What I want to talk about next, I have number one, just a couple more slides, and then MTL will take the wheel. Testimonials. Most important to us is our agent, our client, our customer, because we don't sell on a retail level. That's a big red flag. Conflict of interest should not be legal. Okay, so what does it mean? It means you are our number one. So when we see these testimonials, these reviews, these 5-star Google reviews come in, this is what moves the needle internally, right? We now have employees in 4 states. These are shared with every Levinson team member, and this is what makes our day. We all work so hard, sometimes till 8, 9 p.m., right? Monday to Friday. So please share, okay? And thank you for sharing to these 4 agents. So real fast, top left corner, awesome service from Durisma, who's our case manager. She's very diligent in following up with the carriers. Kudos to her for keeping things straight. Quite a few policies to monitor. Bertrand, that's everything. On the bottom, William C. What I appreciate about my experience with Levinson is the way they go to market. I'm always impressed with the knowledge they have of our business and the integrity in which they approach the business. It was a great webinar. I suggest you watch it. Top right corner, just started writing life insurance. Levinson has been outstanding in guiding me through my learning experience. Great webinars. On the bottom right, Josh from the annuity department went above and beyond in helping me with a nice case. He's great. Robert T. Again, this is everything. And what you're trying, and I want you to try to understand here, the trend is it doesn't matter if you're newer to the industry. Great. If you're a seasoned veteran, MDRT agent, that's great too. It doesn't matter. We are going to put in 100% effort, and it doesn't matter how long you've been in the business or what side you're focused on. We're here to help you in customer service. We know, especially these days, it's everything, okay? Especially in a day when everything is AI, and we're going to have a overseas call center, and they're going to help. No, we're right here, okay? Our headquarters is in South Florida. We're all here to pick up the phone and help you, not an answering service. Let's keep moving forward. Okay, we are less than 90 days away for the big annual Powwow Expo. Over 300 agents will be in attendance. We have a networking lunch. We have breakfast, snacks in between, big dinner the night before for the out-of-town guests, agents. This is free for all active Levinson agents. So again, you got to be appointed with at least one company. Here's the best part. Let's look over on the right-hand side. What we're doing here, and you have about just over a month left to qualify, we're giving away, it's a suite at our beachfront resort, the host hotel, and round-trip airfare, okay? So you can combine life and annuity premium or supplemental health products, doesn't matter. $30,000 gives you the one free night at our beachfront resort in a suite. It's a 2-bedroom suite right on the ocean, and then $60,000 round-trip airfare plus the suite, 70,000 round trip airfare, 2 free nights at our beachfront resort in the suite. So a staycation, vacation, call it whatever you want it. Again, if you're new, you haven't even written an application, it's okay. It's complimentary. Okay. It's a day full of sales ideas is the bottom line. We have annuity keynote speaker this year, which will be different. So a life keynote, an annuity keynote. We're going to have an agent roundtable discussion, a day you don't want to miss. And I mean that. I know I said it a few times already. Make sure you RSVP. The cap is 300 per the fire code. So you got to get in before the final door closes. We'll send out a thank you email tonight, and there'll be a RSVP link in that thank you email. Let's keep moving forward. What I want to do next is talk about cash, and then we'll start our official presentation. So on top of the Apple iWatch I'm giving away at the end, this is an easy way to make a few extra dollars, especially starting out in 2025. Very simply put, on the left-hand side, Manhattan Life has some great supplemental products on the direct-to-consumer instant decision platform. Very easy door openers, low-hanging fruit, as we like to call them, okay? In the middle section with Banner Life, I just told you, up to $4 million, we have the exclusive rights to have Banner on our Insure Me Now Direct platform. No one else has anything like it. It's free for you, okay? $150 with your first app. Moving over to the right side, Assurity Life is also on the platform as well, or you can write them off the platform. We don't really care. Either way, $100. Your first app, Assurity Life. Let's keep moving forward. Okay. What I want to do now is switch gears and make sure everyone is focused on the screen in front of them and our presenters that we have from Mutual Trust Life, A-rated, by the way, which these days we know how important that is. So Mark Creighton is going to take the wheel and dive into today's feature presentation. Mark? Can you hear me okay?
There we go. I was waiting to be unmuted. Hey, Bill, thank you so much for having us. Mark Creighton here with Mutual Trust Life Solutions. You know what? There's one thing you said that struck me right away, that you guys are committed to solutions, and the testimony from your agent speaks volumes. As a carrier, we understand that life insurance isn't always the easiest thing to sell, and quite honestly, in the field, when you got a client running up to you saying, you sell life insurance, I want life insurance, be wary. It's probably because they need it really fast. But it's the solutions, it's the stories behind the reasons we place these products that bring the most power. And as a carrier, we've been committed to that. And so I'm going to introduce in a second here my partner, Mark, our national sales director, who's going to talk to you about one of the greatest solutions, something that we got behind as a carrier before any others. It landed in our lap. I'd like to tell you we were smart enough to go chase it. We weren't that smart. It landed in our lap. We were the right carrier at the right place at the right time and willing to say yes until we figured out exactly what it was. And when we figured out what it was, we were back 100% behind it, and we have been since. And that is the infinite banking concept. You mentioned something else. And at the end of the presentation, Mr. Barnes is going to share with you a unique opportunity to position a very straightforward and ultra competitive from a cash accumulation standpoint, from a distribution standpoint, and from a commission standpoint. Because let's be honest, when it wins for all three, it's a slam dunk. And that's our Vista Life IUL. It's a complex market out there. A lot of really cool products, a lot of really cool carriers, but everybody has access to those. Your relationship with Levinson and through Mutual Trust gives you access to a product not many agents are going to have access to. And that is a product that's going to be, again, competitive and unique in the marketplace. So with that, I want to introduce Mr. Mark Barnes, our national sales director, who's coming up on 5 years with us here at Mutual Trust, Pan American. Been out in the field, done a lot of the things that you do, and just want to turn it over to him and let him share some great insight. Mark?
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate it. And Bill, certainly thank you for having us on. We've certainly enjoyed our partnership and look forward to continuing that. I also like to thank our audience. There's a lot of things that you could be doing with your time or with this next 43 minutes or so. We certainly appreciate you carving out time to hopefully learn something. As Bill had teed up for us, our goal is for you to walk away with one idea, one concept, something that you can apply tomorrow. Now, we know that you got, just as Bill said as well, clients right now that have either seen IBC on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, some other sort of social media platform, or has heard about it or even read the book, Becoming Your Own Banker. In either case, as Mark had mentioned too, we've been doing this for roughly 20 years. And so we don't just offer products, as you see here on the screen, we offer solutions. And to that end, we offer simple, tailored solutions. So let's jump into it, into today's presentation. And let me pause briefly for our disclosures. My compliance department wouldn't have it any other way. So with that said, as I mentioned, we've been working with Levinson Associates for a while now, and you may not have known about us. You may not be familiar with Mutual Trust. We're not one of the larger carriers that you may hear more frequently about. We just happen to be the best. When it comes to cash value accumulation scenarios, whether that be our whole life chassis, our new IUL as Mark had teased, or even some of the other great solutions that we offer, Mutual Trust Life Solutions is truly your best kept secret. So to kind of tee things up today, let's talk about the opportunity. When we talk about whole life, those of you all that have been in the business, myself included, 23 years now. I started off as an independent agent and spent most of my career in the supplemental field. I can share some war stories about that with some of you all at some point in time. But a lot of agents, when they hear about whole life, because there's so many attractive products in the marketplace today, they kind of look at whole life as a dinosaur, as being stoic or inflexible. And it's just not the case. In fact, during a recent LIMRA study, 39% of the industry's distribution came by way of whole life insurance. So there's a huge opportunity out there for you and the clients and communities that you represent. In fact, 42% of Americans feel a need or feel that they are underinsured in terms of life insurance. And believe it or not, when you look at generational breakdowns, millennials, I was surprised by this. Millennials are the most concerned about the amount of money that they have earmarked for retirement. And you may be saying, well, we're going to be talking about life insurance. How does that have anything to do with retirement? Well, get your pens and pads ready to take notes because we're going to talk about some of those solutions a little bit later in today's presentation. Last but not least, you'll see on the second half of the slide or the right hand of the slide today, more than 70% of our sales through Mutual Trust come by way of one of our supported selling systems, whether it be the infinite banking concept, which we're really here to talk about today, or an application of IBC known as Your Family Bank. We have selling systems that are designed to help you drive sales. We realize that we have a partnership with you, and the more you sell, the better off we both are. So there's some synergy there, and we want to make sure that we're supporting you and giving you selling systems that not only make sense for your clients, but also help you to close the deal. All right. Let's get into the meat and potatoes today. As Bill had mentioned, we're here to talk about mainly the infinite banking concept. Now, if we were in front of you physically, I'd probably ask for a show of hands. How many of you all have ever heard about IBC or the infinite banking concept? And maybe you have, or maybe you haven't. Maybe you've had a client bring it up in one way or another, but maybe didn't mention it by name. In either case, infinite banking concept was really coined by a gentleman by the name of Nelson Nash. Although the concept and the ability has been around really just about since whole life has been around, Nelson Nash really made it popular. And in the event we don't provide you with enough information today, you can certainly do a little bit of your own research as well by visiting his website, infinitebanking.org. Now, the other thing you'll see there is the Nelson Nash Institute. As Mark had mentioned, we fell into this, so to speak, about 20 years ago and have championed it from day one. In fact, the Nelson Nash Institute is really a bit of an idea that we helped them to cultivate. We were a big player in creating the Nelson Nash Institute, and now they offer an IBC practitioner course where you can become a certified IBC practitioner and ironically, or I guess ironically anyway, Mark and some of our other colleagues are going to be attending their think tank coming up here soon. Now, if you want to learn more about infinite banking, you can always pick up a copy of his book, Becoming Your Own Banker. I will tell you it is a quality read. It can be a tough read, so I'll just kind of warn you of that ahead of time, but definitely a book I would consider having in your arsenal. All right. So what is the infinite banking concept? IBC, and you'll hear me refer to it both ways, is truly a financial principle based on U.S. tax laws and insurance contractual guarantees. What do we mean by that? So given our current tax laws as that relates to life insurance, allows your beneficiaries, allow your clients' beneficiaries to access their death benefits should that policy owner, or excuse me, should the insured pass away. But in addition to that, there are some advantages to using life insurance to grow cash values. Tax deferred access, oftentimes tax free access. And because of those contractual guarantees, it does offer your clients guaranteed growth in their policy, both in terms of cash value and death benefit. All right. So now that we've kind of scratched the surface, let's take a dive into what IBC really is. Now, that book that I mentioned, Becoming Your Own Banker, is a great book. And again, I recommend reading it. I'll try to summarize a little bit of that book here in this slide. IBC is truly about teaching your clients about the difference between interest in and interest out. When we think about our traditional financial institutions today, they're really not designed to help us accumulate wealth. When you think about it, as your money sits in a bank, it either earns interest income because it's sitting in an account that earns interest, or when we go to use it, use that money to make a purchase in our lives, we lose that earning power on that income or on that money sitting in the bank. Similarly, should I not have enough cash in my bank account in order to make that purchase, oftentimes we're going right back to that bank or another financial institution for some sort of lease or to finance, which comes along with an interest expense or interest accruing anyway. And so really IBC is about turning this concept, what we've all bought into as citizens here, working Americans, we've all bought into this concept in banking industry, but really IBC is about flipping this on its head and really removing the middleman or that financial institution and using the client's whole life policy just as that intermediary or that place to be able to go for capital, because as we all know, capital is certainly king. So when you think about the infinite banking concept, really what we're looking for is a solution to finance your life or finance your client's life. When you pick up the book, you'll notice he talks a lot about farmers. And so whether that be a farmer who needs to buy a new combine, it be a business owner that's looking to open up another bay in his or her oil change shop, or it be a parent who is looking for a way to afford college for their child and then transition that strategy into supplementing their retirement. What you're looking for in a solution when it comes to IBC is guaranteed growth of those cash values while that money is in use, which is really unique. The liquidity, access, and control of when, why, and how often loans are taken, as well as when, why, and how often repayments are made, although your clients are not required to. You also need a solution that offers guaranteed tax-deferred growth, possible tax-free access, the ability to leverage this policy, and let's not lose sight of the fact that since we're doing this through life insurance, oh yeah, there's a death benefit that's going to be there to leave a legacy for your client's beneficiaries should they leave us here on Earth. Now, to kind of bring this home a little bit, we've got 3 examples, and I realize that the examples on the screen might be a little bit hard to read, so let me walk you through these. Let's assume the scenario is you have a client that wants to buy a $20,000 car. Now, traditionally, if I don't have the money sitting in my bank account, I would need to go to a bank or some sort of financial institution for that loan. So as we can see on the far left, if I go to access that loan, let's not forget that I first have to, or the client first has to pass that credit application. Now, not knowing where your client's credit scores may be, that could be difficult for some of your clients. But let's say they get through the application, they borrow the 20,000, and unfortunately that bank or financial institution sets the interest rate. In this case, we're going to assume a 6% interest over 5 years or 60 payments. So the bank gives them the money, they extend it to the dealership, they purchase the car, but what do they have? After 5 years, they finally own the car, but bigger than those things, they've lost the interest paid towards that financial institution, and similarly have lost the buying power of that same $20,000 that was sitting in the bank. Combined with the 6% interest over 5 years, you're looking at losing buying power of over 28,000 or $28,620 in this example. Not necessarily a problem, but there's a better way. Second example, let's say your client is a super saver. They've done a great job saving. They've got money sitting somewhere in an account that they can have access to. But let's also assume that that money sitting in the account is earning 3%. Could be better, could be higher. Or could be worse, rather. That's just the interest rate we're using for this example. So they take the $20,000 out of their bank account. What do they have once they make the purchase? Since they're using their own money, they do have an own car. But unfortunately, that $20,000 that was sitting in the bank account no longer is earning that 3% interest. So they lost the $600 that they would have gained should that $20,000 sat in that account. And they certainly lost any future buying power or earned interest on that same $20,000. Now, using the infinite banking concept, and this is really where you can separate or differentiate yourself from all the other different agents that are out there. As Bill had mentioned, there are a lot of carriers out there in the marketplace, some of which you may be contracted with, and there are thousands upon thousands of agents out there, oftentimes offering the same products. A relationship with Mutual Trust and our expertise, especially when it comes to IBC, allows you to separate yourselves from those folks, whether it be in knowledge of the concept and letting us serve as your subject matter experts, or just merely having access to these types of concepts and the best carrier to do it through your relationship with Levinson and Associates. Either way, we are certainly well suited. So in this infinite banking concept, instead of borrowing the $20,000 from a financial institution or from their own bank account, they're going to take a policy loan from their policy. The good news is they can choose to pay interest equal to their traditional loan if they wanted to. And currently, our policy loan interest rate sits at 5.21%. But let's assume that instead of just paying back that 5.21% plus the loan plus the loan itself, they decide to pay themselves back more than what we're charging in interest. The good news is, because of our flexible paid-up addition rider, should that policy be designed properly, that policy can take on more premium, thus helping to grow those cash values and certainly their death benefits ultimately. Now, by taking a policy loan, there aren't any loan terms. There's not a credit application that your client has to go through. We simply ask, where do you want the money deposited? We don't really care, so to speak, what you're using the money for. It's just a matter of asking for that loan and pointing us in a direction to where we can electronically transfer it. So what do you have? Not only do you have an owned car, you've recouped any interest paid, because your money's still growing. You still have guaranteed growth even while those monies are being borrowed. And let me pause here for a second. Technically, when a client takes a policy loan, they are loaning from the general fund of the carrier. Because of that, we simply use their cash values more or less as quote unquote collateral. But because they're not truly borrowing from their policy, those cash values continue to grow unabated, or as if the loan didn't exist. Now, although loan repayments are not required, they do have the ability to borrow that same money again and again and again, should they repay that loan back to their policy, which we certainly encourage. But let's not lose sight of the fact that we're doing this through life insurance. We offer terminal, chronic, critical illness benefits along with the death benefit. And as I mentioned before, some additional benefits of doing this or purchasing this car or any sort of purchase through an IBC concept and a whole life policy built in this fashion is that they don't have to worry about hits on their credit report or being denied for a credit application. One other such use of this is that clients are using these policies to help their kids qualify for more financial aid. Yes, that's right. Your clients who might not qualify for financial aid because they earn too much income can actually set aside a portion of their income into their policy, thus removing it from the income line on the financial aid form, and hopefully then qualifying that child for more financial aid from the government. There are so many uses of the IBC concept and really cash value focused whole life. But when it comes to solutions, there are a lot of carriers out there that say that they offer or thrive in this space, and it just isn't true. We have been doing this for over 20 years, and as you've seen on social media, or you'll even hear references of this on Nelson Nash's website. He refers to our company by name. What you need in a product is guaranteed early high cash value product paired with a paid up addition rider, which allows us to use a portion of the premium to buy death benefit that's already earned. You need access to those cash values. Here at Mutual Trust Life Solutions, your clients have access to their available cash values as soon as 10 days post policy placement. Typically, loans are processed in 5 business days. So when your client needs a loan or if they need a loan, that turnaround time for them is awfully quick. But in addition to the policy itself and all of its great cash value features, what about the what if situations? As we all know, life happens. And so just like most carriers, we offer a waiver of premium benefit, which waives the base premiums should your client not qualify or be unable to perform 2 or more activities of daily living. But unlike a lot of our competitors, we also do offer disability benefit rider, which offers in essence the same waiver or a similar waiver for those premiums being set aside towards the paid up addition rider, or those premiums specifically being used to grow cash value. So not only do we want to make sure that the base policy stays in place with the waiver of premium, we also want to make sure that the intention of this policy in growing cash value stays in place as well too, to the tune of up to $15,000 a year, making sure that your clients' goals are staying in line while they're dealing with the health event. Now, our paid up addition rider also offers flexibility. Whether it's the minimum premium for that paid up addition rider of $100 a year or $8.34 a month, that PUA rider has flexibility to go up and down depending on how we design it, so that in the event your client comes into some sort of cash windfall, they can dump more money into their policy or more premium into their policy. Or should they fall on hard financial times like a lot of us experienced during the pandemic, they can certainly reduce their premiums going towards the PUA rider as well. Now, not only do you need those things in a solution, you need a product that allows for easy, flexible loan repayments. As we've mentioned, your clients are not required to pay back their loans. If they do decide to pay them back, they can be flexible and can be changed at the policy owner's discretion. And those payments can be made on demand or through our automatic loan repayment process or through the client payment portal. Now, you also need a carrier who is well versed in this concept. So not only do we support the sales concept, we understand the concept. Our back office and certainly our sales development team have been certified and trained in these concepts. And so as your client may call and mistakenly ask for a policy loan from their bank, we know what they mean, that they really want to take a policy loan from their policy. Not all carriers, or you won't have that experience with all carriers, but you'll certainly have that here with us. And then lastly, because we realize that getting involved in learning something new to differentiate yourself from the market sometimes takes a monetary investment, we also do offer reimbursement for education up to $1,500 a year based on your sales. So whether that be attending the Nelson Nash Institute or the think tank that I mentioned before, we do have a reimbursement program for your educational expenses should you decide to contract with Mutual Trust through Levinson and Associates. All right. Now, just briefly, this might be a little bit hard to read, and I do apologize for that. I just wanted to briefly take a look at what an illustration might look like. This is merely a snapshot of the illustration. This is just one page on the left of the illustration, the first page of the supplemental illustration within our illustration packet, as well as the loan activity report. And so as you can see here, You can see the loan activity. In this example, in the example we used prior, I'm showing a loan here in year 6. You can see that in the annual loan column, which happens to be the 6th column from the left in the left-hand window. You'll see the $20,000 loan. You'll see the interest charged on that loan, roughly $1,100. And then you'll notice that I repaid that loan in this hypothetical example over the next 5 years. The good news, as you see, is as we repay that loan and those monies are going back to those cash values in this example continue to grow and return back to $146,478 by the time this particular client has paid off that particular loan. So really what the IBC does is really gives your clients access to cash values or access to capital that they may not currently have, whether that be through a banking or financial institution, their own bank account for that matter, or a savings account, or another investment vehicle for that matter. IBC is a great way for your clients to find the capital they need to finance their life. Whether that, again, be to pay for college, that be to supplement your retirement, or it be for any reason that the client may want. Those cash values are available to them to use as they see fit. Last but not least, when you're considering adding IBC to your repertoire of solutions, you really ought to consider a carrier that is committed to this concept. A lot of our competitors rather, are getting out of this space, unfortunately, and we continue to thrive in it. Not only do we offer a dedicated concept coordinator, we support the IBC software module. We also do support and offer robust training with regards to this. So whether you need to design a solution and need to use us as your subject matter expert and want to jump on a call to walk through the illustration page by page before meeting with your client, we can certainly do that for you. And then lastly, so that you don't have to recreate the wheel, we also do have a fantastic marketing team that has created a plethora of marketing materials driven towards your client or you as the agent to help support your entry into this concept and adding it to your list of solutions. Mark, I believe you wanted to add something here, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Mark, I think we want to go on the next slide.
Okay.
This is the part where we start getting to talk about the specific uses of IBC, and this is one of the very best. Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, so absolutely, thank you. And so, IBC can be used for a lot of different things. One of the most popular, matter of fact, we've done over $8 billion in sales in this concept alone. And with that being said, a lot of agents are using the IBC concept to help their clients get out of debt, whether that be to offset them or to pay off their mortgage, that be to pay off some credit cards, or maybe it's student loans that they've acquired over the last 4 years attending college. Your Family Bank uses the IBC concept to help clients to understand using policy loans or how to use policy loans to help themselves snowball down their debt, and is committed to helping those clients get out of debt in 10 years or less. Let's face it, just about every client that you're sitting in front of, whether it be for whole life or another product, is coming into your office or coming into that meeting concerned about the amount of debt that they're facing. And so using the IBC concept and becoming a practitioner could provide you a solution to help them overcome those challenges before they even enter your office. Now, as we think about that, there are a lot of other people that you might be thinking about and a lot of other uses of IBC. So when you think about a client profile, who are we talking about? Some of the folks enlisted first here, we forget about. Maybe it's the dry cleaner in your neighborhood or where you get your oil changes done. But those small business owners in your communities are always looking for ways to find capital. Perhaps it's that local flipper that buys houses and flips them for profit, but needs money or access to capital to move a project forward. Or perhaps it's a doctor or a dentist or other professionals. So let me pause here for a second. Actually, an agent that Mark and I are very familiar with, and one of the first cases I worked on was an IBC case for a dermatologist. This young lady bought into the concept through her agent that Mark and I know and have worked with. And by using her policy before she was even able to access a policy loan, she happened to be sitting in the break room, and one of her partners anyway, was just mentioning that he was going to be leaving for the afternoon because he had to go to the bank. Just being curious, she asked him what he was going to the bank for, and it was for a business loan. Well, she asked him, well, how much do you need? Fortunately, she had enough in her policy to be able to loan him that money from her policy. She established an amortization schedule to repay back that loan. She set the interest rate, which was lower than what he would have gotten in the market at the time, but higher than what we were charging for her policy loan, and became a resource of capital for that doctor. So whether it be a family member, which a lot of us have a family member we go to when we need to borrow money, or it be a small business owner, a doctor, or some other professional, let's not forget about those business owners. Perhaps it's a client looking to avoid the red tape of a credit application, or clients seeking liquidity, use, and control of their money that might currently be locked up in something like a 401k or an IRA right now, or a 529 plan for their kids' college. Or perhaps it's a client that is a little bit nervous about the market volatility and is looking for more of a safe way or safe place to place assets. Certainly, we want folks that are insurable, and certainly we want folks that also, by way, want a desire to protect their family.
Mark, before we move on, go back to that slide.
Yes, sir.
This is the part we want you to take away. Nelson Nash wrote his book, really focused on the idea of alternate financing, buying cars and such. And while access to capital is king, I prior to my role as an RVP, I was the Infinite Banking Coordinator, and I met a number of people, and these agents would tell you always have to finance for your policy. All right, well, there's a rule in life. I am a very logical, consumer-minded individual, as I know you all are too. And the answer is, it doesn't make sense that the answer is always finance from your policy, because sometimes you don't mind borrowing from a lender because the terms are agreeable. They're good terms. You don't mind being locked into a payment. There are other times where you don't want to be. We get in here, clients wishing to avoid red tape. Here's a real life story, a case study. There was a young couple. They were doing well. They had lots of money. They were well positioned in life. Credit score is great. And this was back, post 2008, real estate market bubble. They were going through a refinancing, and that was when it was a 3-month ordeal, nightmarish, all that, right? One day they're driving home and his car breaks down. They've got the resources, they've got the money, they've got the credit score to walk into a dealership and buy the car they want. No problem, no hassle. They'll have it, closed, no big deal. The problem is they were going through the refinancing, and they currently don't have a car loan on their books. Instead of putting one on that was going to complicate their closing, they simply utilized, called up. We were actually the carrier, of course, because I know about the case study, but they called us up, said, hey, can we get a loan? Yeah, we turned the loan around for them quickly. They were able to go and purchase their car. It's off the credit reports. Nobody knows about it. When they were all said and done with their closing, now they've got an opportunity to choose what they want to do. They want to go through a traditional financing method and repay their policy and let their cash values be there for something else. That was totally up to them. What having a whole overfunded whole life policy, and this is part of the key. This is different than the Dave Ramsey whole life he's talking about. Dave Ramsey thinks every agent sells whole life just to make the most amount of commissions possible. While those kind of sales maximize the permanent death benefit, which a client might be looking for, an IBC policy focuses on overfunding, using paid up additions to minimize the death benefit, maximize the early cash value. So this is something usable on day one. We're an instant gratification society. Clients want to know that what you just sold them is usable today, not 5 years, 6 years, 10 years from now. Dave Ramsey doesn't understand that by minimizing the death benefit, by maximizing cash value up to the MEC line through paid up additions, you're also minimizing your commissions. This isn't about your commission. It's about what's doing right for your clients. There's much like Mark's example of the dermatologist who used her policy to create more wealth for herself. There's another agent that I worked with in Ohio. He was working with a dentist and he was in the waiting room, waiting to close the deal and kind of finalize everything, where the dentist was going to overfund a policy and use it to update his equipment, new chairs, new machines. Just his office was dated. Well, he's sitting there waiting for him as he finished up with a payment with a patient of his, and he happens to see a brochure on the rack in the waiting room, and it was, hey, do you need help financing your treatments? And it was a finance company, if you will, that basically used credit card 22, 23, 24% interest charges, and you can go get your bridge or whatever work you needed done. Yes, important, get your work done, because that's a health related thing. So it's important that clients do that, but they're doing it at the expense of a lot of interest, making a lot of profit for somebody else. While the agent was sitting in there, they craftily thought of a new solution that this dentist could use, which was, hey, how'd you like to go into the financing business? You know your clients, you know these patients. It was a second generation dentistry, inherited it from his father. He knew all his patients. They were, they weren't in a large town, so he knew the families. He'd been treating parents that his dad were treating their parents. Small town relationships. He went into the financing business. He could underwrite them. He worked with did some legal stuff, worked with a collection agency to contract and say, hey, if somebody owes me, can you help me get some of the money back? But he used his policy to finance these treatments. He could set the rate he wanted. Insurance companies charging, we've charged anywhere from 4 to 6 over the last 20 years. 5% being probably the mean average. But he could charge them 7%, 8%, 10%, 12% based on his relationship and what he knew about the client. So he's got this money that's going to grow while he's using it, and he's got some arbitrage on his loaning activity. So here's the policy working to update his office. Here's the policy ensuring that his clients can get the treatments they need when they need them, and generating some wealth for the benefit of the clients, because they're saving money. Why wouldn't they do it? Another client I knew, and bear with me here, the agent/client was nearing retirement. The windows within view, and looking to generate additional income. Well, one of the most popular things these days is passive income, rental income. Everybody would love to do it, right? Or maybe a lot of people are open to the idea of doing that. The problem, and I don't know where you all live, but my sense is every real estate market in this country has been the same for the last 5, 8, 10 years, which is too much demand, not enough inventory. So when there's a property you want, what are you faced with? You got to bid at least 20% over list. You have to waive the inspection, waive everything else, cave to every desire of the seller, and pray that somebody didn't come after you with a 25% offer with cash, 20% over list offer with cash, because then you lost. Well, this individual realized that it had access to a great property, and ran the math and utilized their policies to purchase this policy, ran the numbers. Policy loans are going to be paid off by their realistic retirement window is, when they get there. It's going to create roughly $3,000 of rental income right now. And if we're to believe any trends, that's a pretty safe bet to still be $3,000 8 years, 10 years, 12 years, 15 years down the road, if not higher. So these IBC policies, yes, they can be used to help your client get out of debt and create wealth. They can be used for the investor who wants a better way to flip houses, and instead of instead of relying on a financial institution to give them the money to flip their houses, take control, do it yourself. You own the terms, you own control of the debt and use of the money. Those are all real life case studies, all real life opportunities. And Mark, one last thing I want to add. If you're not familiar with IBC, spend a minute and Google it. Go to the YouTubes, go to all the social media sites, and I'd say look very carefully. There's a lot of goofy stuff out there. Most times 20% of what they say is accurate, 80% is kind of crazy. But clients are out there searching. The millennials, the younger people, they do everything by social media, and IBC has got plenty of attention out there. They're knowing about it, and if the people in your neighborhood and the people within your reach don't know this is something you can help them with, you're losing opportunities with your clients. It's definitely something you should add. You don't want to make it your sole point of practice. That's fine. Make sure you know what it is, and be sure you know who can help you. Your friends at Levinson, your friends here at Mutual Trust.
That is spot on, Mark. I certainly appreciate that, and thank you for that. And you know, absolutely. If you've got, normally we would ask for questions, but we've got roughly about 6 or 7 minutes left. And Bill, I apologize, we might run a little bit long. But if you do have questions, concerns, you want to learn more, I'm going to direct you back to the great folks at Levinson and Associates. Not only could they probably address some of your questions right there, but if not, they certainly can direct you to where to get those, and direct you to us if need be. Now, staying in the realm of
Mark,
go ahead, Bill.
real
Sorry,
fast.
yes.
Yes, that's correct. And I see some questions coming in. We're going to call you as soon as we're done and get those questions answered. Mark, I have about 5 minutes after you finish. So if you can end it at 3, about 5-6 minutes, and then I can wrap up in another 5 and then do our giveaway. So that would be great.
Sounds good. No problem at all. Staying along the lines of cash value accumulation, but more of a long-term strategy, I recently attended the 2025 LIMRA life and annuity forecast. And when they came to life insurance, one of the things that they noted was that there are a lot of smaller carriers disrupting the IUL market with really simple competitive products. And so that is exactly what we have with the introduction of our Vista Life IUL. It is a very simple and competitive design. Any of you all sell IULs? Are you tired of the 50-page illustrations? Well, good news for you. We've trimmed out the fat, and you'll find that our illustration and IUL illustrations are only 17 to 18 pages. Why, you might ask? Because we've really taken out a lot of those cash multipliers, bonuses, so forth and so on that don't oftentimes happen or come to fruition. In this instance, we have 3 indices: the S&P 500, the NASDAQ 100, and the Euro Stoxx 50. 1 crediting method, annual point-to-point, or 12 months for that matter. Early access to cash values via withdrawals or traditional and participating loans. Now, to get into the nuts and bolts a little bit more with our Vista Life IUL, it's issued up to age 80. We can perform both the guideline premium test or cash value accumulation test, depending on what your client's focus is, whether cash value or death benefit. There's a 10-year no lapse guarantee. Our current caps, and by the way, our S&P 500 cap was just increased maybe about a week ago, but our caps in the 3 indices we work with range from 9 to 10%. There's a $100,000 minimum face amount. We do offer level or increasing death benefit options. And the good news in those indices is that the participation rate is guaranteed at 100%. Now, should your client be a little bit more risk adverse, there is a true safe harbor built into our IUL, in that we have a fixed account that has a guaranteed rate of 2%. You'll notice in our illustrations that we illustrate at 4.5, but there's a guaranteed rate of 2% in our fixed account, truly providing a safe harbor for those clients that might be a little bit more risk adverse. And then last but not least, we have a 0% floor. So as the market is doing well, your client participates. As the market's not doing so well, they're not participating in the market. And really is a very simple, easy to understand IUL. And when it's easy to understand, that means more sales for you. Now, I'm going to kind of just breeze over this given the amount of time we have, but IUL can certainly be used as a retirement supplement. Many of the clients that you're going to be sitting in front of are not happy with the amount of monies that they have set aside for retirement. Let's take, in this case study, a 45-year-old male who has additional funds to put towards retirement, but has maxed out his qualified plans. You've now, because of your relationship with Levinson and Associates and Mutual Trust Life Solutions, have explained to him that he can loan or draw an income, supplement income from his IUL policy for 20 years. In this example, this particular client was putting away $2,000 a month towards this policy, or $24,000 a year. Over the course of 20 years, we're looking at $480,000. Now, after that first 20 years, you'll notice that he's then able to draw an income from the same policy to the tune of almost $62,000 a year, or over $1.2 million over the next 20 years. That could be a very strong way to help someone who's not happy with their level of retirement set aside, to help them overcome that. Or perhaps they're not happy with what the market's been doing or will be potentially be doing as those markets become more volatile. So with our Vista Life IUL, not only does your client enjoy immediate death benefit protection from market volatility in that safe harbor, consumer-friendly illustrations and fewer pages, easier access to cash values, but bigger for you, it's the simplest IUL on the market. It is truly a disruptor and definitely a product to help you differentiate yourselves from everyone else. Competitive commissions, target premiums that are much higher than you'll see in the industry, which means more commissions for you. And certainly credit towards our incentive program, in which, by the way, I'm going to skip the slide, Mark, but is to our next incentive trip is to Buenos Aires. So if you've never been in the Southern Hemisphere, here's your opportunity through your relationship with Levinson and Associates. Now, one last idea I'll leave you with is a 50-50 strategy. Listen, I know many of you have never met me, but I'm a big guy. And if anything you'll learn about me, I have learned that one size does not fit all. And to that end, your client might want to dabble in both whole life and IUL. They love the guaranteed growth and guaranteed death benefits of a whole life, but they want to dabble in the market a little bit with an IUL and possibly get a little bit more aggressive. So consider a 50-50 strategy, or 60-40, 70-30. If your client has idle money sitting somewhere, putting some of it in a whole life contract and some of it into IUL could be the solution that makes them move forward. But just realize that you have that capability through the many solutions that we have here at Mutual Trust. Bill, I'm going to end things there to let you take over and talk about this great giveaway. I wish I was in the running for it. But listen, folks, we've got a lot more to talk to you about. Get a hold of Bill and the team. We can certainly get you more information. But Bill, thanks again on behalf of Mark and I and Mutual Trust Life Solutions. We certainly appreciate you and certainly appreciate you having us on.
Anytime. You guys both did a fantastic job. So we appreciate you. We also appreciate our agents, first and foremost. So we're going to get everyone out in about 4 minutes here. So I'm going to be quick. How to get started with MTL. I'm going to show you the slide in front of you, which is on our website. We're also going to include this piece in the thank you email that I mentioned a few times. So it'll be sitting in your inbox tonight before we leave. And what's so great is all MTL paid premium counts towards the Expo qualification for that sweet beachfront suite and round trip airfare, which ends March 1st. So make sure you get those paid cases in, okay, with any one of our 90 carriers, including MTL. All right, let's keep moving forward. So I also want to show you, it's funny, Mark mentioned social media and then the infinite banking concept. We literally did a search before we started to show you which graphics and which posts are performing best. So I'm going to fast forward to that in just a second here. There we go. Okay, so let's do this real fast because we're skipping around here. I'm trying to get everyone out. I wanted to, if we can, there we go. Perfect. Can we back up 1 second? I just want to show you something that we found on Instagram and Facebook. So what you're looking at now is we took the first step and we said, okay, I'm an agent out there and I want to start marketing whole life, right? And what do I need to do to be scrappy and creative, right? To drive some likes and comments. And the way we look at it is every single like is potentially a prospect. And then every comment is literally a warm lead. Why? Because they're asking questions. You should be reaching out to these people on Facebook, on Instagram with a DM, a direct message or a personal message, PM, call it whatever you want, but they're ready to talk business. Okay. Just these 4 posts alone. And by the way, you should do the same thing. Go on Facebook, Instagram, into the search bar, put in whole life or infinite banking and see what comes up. You'll see the top performing posts. Just these 4, over 1,000 likes, over 100 comments. That's 100 new, fresh, free leads for you to call on. Okay. So the sky is the limit is my point here. The next slide is we actually dived even deeper and we said, okay, what are we going to find when we choose infinite banking concepts, right? And how is it going to look as far as likes and comments? Well, check this out, right? These 3 posts alone from our agents, over 150 likes, over 20 comments. So again, and you got to also think to yourself, these aren't small $15 a month term cases, okay? We're talking about permanent whole life solutions, big renewals, great comp, target premium of what, 10,000, 30,000, right? It goes on and on and on. So again, you don't have to reinvent the wheel, just change a few spokes. We'll include these samples in our thank you email. But again, it's very simple. You just got to get out there, right? And move the needle, put your right foot forward, try a new concept. That's the whole point of today's presentation. The next slide is our 411. There we go. Perfect. Okay. Our life and annuity leader. So everything that we have to offer is here in front of you. It's in your inbox every other week. Over 100 products, over 1,000. Over 100 carriers, over 1,000 products, and then all of our technology and platforms, the latest and greatest, what's hot, what's not. Everything is here at your fingertips. The next slide, and then I'm going to put a bow on this with our question of the day. Okay, this is our guide for the weekly training webinars. I want to point out some important upcoming events that you need to focus on real fast. We have Lincoln Financial on the 30th. Just under that, we have Mutual of Omaha, right? They just did away with their DI product, but they have some new stuff coming, very hot from what I'm hearing. That's on the 6th. Just under that, John Hancock is back with a new product on the 13th. Then this is a big one, Mary Reed, okay? She is a 5-time best-selling author. And let me tell you right now, if you have a guy or girl, higher net worth, right? Maybe retirement planning, tax saving strategies, whatever it is, she'll do all of the heavy lifting for you and literally make the sale. Okay. And you still get the bulk of the compensation. And these are monster cases, typically at least 70, 80,000 of target premium. And it just goes up from there. So you don't want to miss that one on the 27th. How to do business with Levinson in the current year. Then on the bottom, another big one, Lloyd's of London. So they have some great niche products. As you know, nobody else has anything like it. You definitely don't want to miss that webinar on the 20th of March. Let's move to our final slide, my question of the day. And I do know we're a few minutes over, and I apologize for that. This is our Positive Tuesday quote. I'll mention quickly. True winners are not people who never failed. Rather, they're people who never quit. Right? It's about that right foot on the gas pedal, trying new things, being scrappy, right? Getting the message out on social media, maybe setting up webinars and Zoom calls. And even if it's only 4 people to start, it's okay. It's for more people than you had yesterday, right? And the day before. So you just got to build from there. But the only way you're going to be able to build is if you're persistent and consistent with your messaging, with your posting, with your e-blasting. You got to get the word out. They have to know, oh, that's the Billy Levinson. He's the guru when it comes to life and annuity sales, right? You know how it is, but you got to get the word out. And there's never been a better time to start than now. Okay. Even social media, you're hearing all about this TikTok, right? Facebook, Instagram, X. I mean, there's so much going on in that space. You got to be out there. You got to be present and top of mind. Question of the day. Let's put a bow on this. Make sure your little fingers are on the keyboard because you got to answer first and correct. My question is, I spoke you already RSVP'd. If not, do it today. But my question is, to qualify for our beachfront suite and round trip airfare, what is the final day you have to qualify? Tell me the date that you have to qualify. You have until what date to get that premium in? Life or annuity, doesn't matter. What is the final day you have to get those cases in and paid? Okay, we're talking about a beachfront 2-bedroom suite and round trip airfare from anywhere in the country. We even have agents from Hawaii coming in. Okay. JC is going to tell us who answered first and who is correct.
Tom C.
Tom C. Tom C. The answer was March 1st, 2025. Tom, congratulations. Thank you again. Try some of these new strategies. Pick up the phone. Call any one of our marketers, and we'll get you everything that you need. Also, all of the brochures that Mark and Mark went over and went through will be in your inbox tonight before we wrap up. Great selling, and thanks again, everyone.